Hi guys, it's Super Sunday, so welcome to the APAT show. Tonight we've got Peter Wigglesworth and Graham Pound on the show with us, and we're glad to have them. Graham and Peter will be critiquing your play in the roller and in squads as well. Interestingly enough, Graham was leading the MVP race at the start of the evening for squads, so it'll be fun to see how he gets on through the evening. We've also got a sneak teaser of episode 6 of The Orbit, which premieres on Thursday. So you guys will be amongst the first to know who appeared on that particular show. Okay, so enough of the talking. Please join Lee, Peter, Graham, and myself right after this. Good evening, Lee. I hope this finds you well. And we're in the company of some poker royalty this evening.
We certainly are. How you doing, Des? You had a good week?
I can't complain too much. It's always nice to get to Sunday in one piece, I have to say.
Exactly. Oh, I completely agree. No, we've got a couple absolute legends on the show of the amateur poker world. So most will obviously have listened because Mr. Wigglesworth has been on the show a number of times, but it's a newbie for Graham. But some interesting facts about them combined. Did you know, Des, they have got between them over $1 million in live poker winnings?
Sorry, dollars? $1 million?
Over $1 million between
$1 million?
It's fairly even, to be honest. There's not a lot in it. There's actually not a lot of difference between their actually highest cash each. But, you know, the biggest fact is Pete's first Hender Mob cash was 2010.
Yeah.
For Graham's, you have to go back to, ready for this? 1995.
Wow, great. Okay,
This guy's been playing a bit of poker for a little bit of a while, but welcome to the show.
Brilliant.
Pete and Graham, how are you both doing?
Yeah, hi guys.
Oh, yeah.
How are we doing, guys? Crikey, those are impressive numbers. $1 million. And you know what? I guess, you know, Graham, you and I haven't spoken before, so it's really cool to say hello, and I look forward to talking through the evening. But I guess one of the most impressive things to hear there is that if you were playing poker and making cashes back in 95, it's just the longevity, right? A lot of players have fallen out of the game in the meantime. How have you managed to stay in over such a long period?
Well, I'm just getting the knack of it now, so
just getting the hang.
I thought, well, it seems you meet a lot of people and a lot of nice guys. Some guys you don't like very much but mostly the players are they're good to you. You know, they're sociable and everything else, and that's part of it. Is the social aspect of it over the years. I met a lot of good friends and stuff. And you just keep going, and you kind of, I mean, I've always said a good friend is to be listening to a bad beat story and stay there and listening to it until the end of it. You know?
Hey, I tell you won't find too many good friends on this side of the mic on the APAT show. We're worn down over the years from listening to bad beats, I have to say, Graham. Listen, I think we're probably going to get a ton of interesting stories from you this evening. I really look forward to that, and to Peter, of course, who, you know, it's been just a brilliant contributor to this show over the last 9-10 months. Christ, it's I don't know whether it's going quickly or slowly. I don't know. That's how mixed up we all are. But before we get into that, a couple of things, Lee. First of all, why don't we just top line what the guys are playing tonight, and then I'll do a little rummage through the chat box to see who we've got in.
Yeah, we could. Before we do that, can I ask you guys if I don't know which device it is that's doing all the pinging or stuff.
It's a submarine, Lee.
It's gonna do my head in after about 15 minutes. So if whilst I'm chatting through the tournaments tonight, you could find a way of muting that would be fantastic for me.
I already told him that.
Yeah, well, this is
trouble.
This is the trouble. It's trying to keep Pete in check, Graham.
There he goes.
Yeah. So let me run you through, because it's a Sunday night, Sunday roller. a cracking number of runners in this, Des. We've got 92 players in this tonight. It's been a great weekend, championship weekend. So they're all medal hunting. Prize pool's $2,715. There's over $700 up top. A certain Mr. Wigglesworth is in the final 12 players. Some competition in there. Tom Bacon's in there. Shirley Cole is third in chips at the moment.
Oh, I'll tell you what, she's been hot over the last few weeks, hasn't she, Lee?
12th of 12 at the moment is Ben Dobson. Ben can actually outdo both Pete and Graham's live poker winnings if you check out his Hendon mob. But
he's got over $1 million in winnings.
Yeah.
Crikey, both. I'm on the wrong show tonight, Lee. What's happened? Let me press some buttons here, see if we can get rid of the guys and get somebody on who's just won a tenner like me.
Exactly. So the Sunday roller, we've just burst the bubble. So there's 12 are getting paid, 12 remaining. We'll have a chat to the guys and then we'll focus in on the final table of that. And obviously it's Sunday night, Des, which is Poker Squad's night. It's 2 weeks in a row. The guys are all chasing the Celtic Storm. Yeah, the guys are out in front again, as is always the way. 111 runners in that tonight. We're paying top 16, $136 up top. We'll keep an eye on which teams can catch them. Now, our MVP, you mentioned it at the top of the show, Des. Yeah. Graham already bust in that. So Graham is in the club. He's in the clubhouse. He's got a score on the board, but is it going to be enough? That is the question.
Did you listen, before we get into the story of how Graham managed to lose his chips tonight, did you explain to him before he came on that shit like that happens here? You come on the APAT show, it's like a guaranteed bok.
Yeah, I didn't, but I'm assuming Pete might have mentioned it. So yeah. So Tom Banks is in the chat. He's just said, "Is that Pete's pacemaker beeping in the background? Is that what it is?" Yeah.
What is he out having a run or what? That's incredible stuff. Well, listen, talking about the chat box.
Tom's then followed up with unplug it. So.
No, we best not do that. If you've got a pacemaker out there, don't unplug it. Don't do that.
Please don't. Yeah.
Not on our time anyway. If you're on Stars, by all means, be our guest. Right. So in the chat box, in addition to the one and only Tom Banks, who else do we have? So we've got Asa McGrath is in there. Evening All. Igor Asimov is in there. Go. Tom Bacon, Paul Haycock, Lou Brush, Derek Lawman, Harjit Singh, Rhubarb Jones, Eddie Niascio is there. It says, evening, guys. Evening to you, Eddie. Greg Mawson is there. Matt Pitt is there. Lee, I've just got to stop for a second. Which button was it?
You're going to do it.
Here we go. We've got to do it, guys. There we go. Super Matt Pitt is in the chat box. Lou says, hi guys, hi to you, Shug. Dean Pearson is there. And Tom, of course, with his cutting humour this evening. Frank Bailey says, evening guys. And Jeff Talbot is there. Pete's needs a jump. There you go. So Pete's pacemaker needs a jump, apparently. That's what I'm hearing. So lots of folks in the chat box tonight, guys. We've got a great couple of guests here. So get your questions in, right? Let's make sure we keep the guys busy through the night. Wouldn't you say, Lee?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Have we ever opened an interview with a question? So tell us how you both met. Yeah?
Go on then, Pete.
Oh, hold on.
Right. Well, basically, when I first started
Carry on, guys.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when I first started playing poker, I used to play down at Sergeant York's, which is the Grosvenor, and also down at the Gentins, down in Caversham in Reading. And that was where I met Graham. So, it looks like I'm going out the tournament. Yes, just gone out.
Oh, no.
Shirley just raised with King 2, and I've got Queen 8, and she beat me, so I'm out. So,
Pete, you're going to give your chips anywhere, Pete. Yeah. Shirley Cole is a nice place for them to go to, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn my computer off now, so you don't get that beeping, because that was my computer.
Not the one in your chest, Pete. Leave that one going.
Yeah. So no, it was funny actually, because I just started. I didn't even realise there were poker tournaments going, and I think the first time I ever went to one was down at the Gentin casino in Caversham in Reading, and they sort of said to me, "Oh, we play poker here, and for money, and I'm like thinking, oh, this is great. So I played a couple, and I did really, really well. I got in the money the first couple of tournaments I played, and because a lot of people just thought that I knew how to play, and I got into the money more through luck than judgment. And Graham used to play there regularly, and he used to win a lot of money, and I didn't really think that much of him, to be honest. I just thought he was just a regular player, and then he moved on to sort of bigger things and started playing in Amsterdam, and I think was it 2002? 2001. I think he was ranked 4th in Europe with.
Wow. It's incredible.
Yeah, so he won the Amsterdam Master Classics, and I thought, this guy isn't any better than me. You know, why is he winning poker tournaments?
That's not like you, Pete. That's not like you to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so he obviously was called the Wizard. He had a really good reputation in the locality, but it was a hotbed of really good players. Simon Trumper was playing there. Neil Channing was playing there. John Burberry, who's obviously an APAT as well. Trying to think who else. Keith the Camel Hawkins, if you know him.
Oh God, yeah. That was a golden age for British poker.
Yeah,
around the start of late night poker, or late night poker had just started. And you had Poker Europa and all of those great magazines with European rankings and stuff like that. It was a great time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And Reading was the hotbed, really. So
can I just come in here?
Yeah, go on.
I'll tell you a little story about Simon. When Simon first started playing, I think he lived at Guildford or something. He came down to Reading and played in the casino, and we were in the final. And he'll tell you this story as well. He tells it often. And we were heads up, and he had I think 3 or 4 to 1 chip lead on me. And he said, "Do you want to do some business? Do you want to share or something?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, we'll play a few." And about 5 hands later, I had all the chips. And he often tells that story, you know, even though he's won some fantastic tournaments, he's an excellent player, but he did improve from that. I think I taught him a lesson.
Wow, no, that's amazing. So tell me, Graham, where did you get the bug from? What brought you into poker? How did you get good? What were the sort of the challenges of playing back then? And were the early years of Hold'em in the UK.
Well, let me tell you, when I was 8 years old, I used to play whist, and I used to play hunt whist drives around my local area where I was born, and I used to have long conversations with Lady Rouse Bowden where we played it or on her premises and stuff like that, big hunt whist drives and that. And from that, playing whist, I had such a memory. I could remember who played every card, and it was I knew every card that had been played, and and from there, there was some Americans who were up near my hometown, and I was up there, and they were playing cards. I used to play 3-card brag and that as a kid, but I wasn't 8 years old when I started playing 3-card brag. Don't get me wrong. But it was I'd moved on to play 3-card brag and 7-card stud. I used to play a lot, and they were playing Texas Hold'em. Never seen it before, and I used to visit regular. So I had a pretty good idea on Texas Hold'em when I walked into Reading Casino, and they were playing a tournament of Texas Hold'em, and I thought, oh, this looks good. I watched for a little while. I thought, blimey, he's got no kicker there. I don't know what he's doing with that hand. You know what I mean? So I talked to the card room supervisor, and he said, yeah, we have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday and that. It's a tenner and that. So I said, okay, I'll be there. And then, of course, from there, it was like, it was easy money for me because they didn't have a clue, to be honest. Yeah. And I had the knowledge already, obviously everybody's caught up now and that, but
so how would you describe your game, Graham? Are you a numbers guy? Are you an instinct guy? I mean, what set you apart back then?
No, I was very patient, and I know I select my hands that I play careful, and I see who's raising, who's not raising. I remember who's doing what and everything, and I watch them. Normally, as you know, any really decent player worth their salt will tell you they probably don't play many hands to start with. They're studying all the people on the table.
Yeah,
you know, and I mean, I'm good at reading tells and stuff like that, and I'm good at giving false tells, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the game that I play. I concentrate on every hand, whether I'm in it or not, and I'm watching everybody, whether I'm in it or not. And I don't stop having a chat and all this lot at the table. I'm too busy playing cards. That's why I'm still playing cards after I get knocked out or after I've won the tournament for a couple of hours after, you know, saying what I could have done different in my head, you know. So it's a full-time thing. It's not just like, okay, so what? There's another tournament. I got knocked out of this one. I don't care. It does. It matters. Every tournament matters when you enter. You know.
Not too right. Well, it sounds to me as if you're a guy with a really strong all-round game, but big focus, disciplined focus, and that can be a barrier for a lot of players today with iPhones and iPads and all of that sort of stuff at the tables. Let me ask you a question, if I can, just to sort of follow on. The next obvious question for me would be, how did you then develop your bankroll to be able to take part in the likes of the Master Classics and some of those tournaments, which where the buy-ins were pretty significant buy-ins even back in the day?
Well, I won regularly at Reading, and then I went up to Luton and played £100 there and won that. And in actual fact, they had a couple of decent tournaments up there in the spring of 2001 or something like that. And they had a pot limit hold'em £100. I won that, and then I just finished that. And in them days, you had to be sat at the table to play, and I just managed to sit down for the next one.
Yeah, you could not play Reg, could you?
Which was the no limit one. And I won that as well. I got the trophy set on the 19th of April, 21st of April. So it was like that hadn't been done, I don't think. But I had the cards, and I was able to play them right. Look, there's loads of good players out there, a lot of good players that are better than me probably. You got to be lucky, and you got to be consistent. And you do need that element a lot. But if I have a bad beat or something like that, I just turn the page and get on with the next hand. I don't keep it in my head, and that's what you have to do. You have to move on.
There we go, guys. That's a pragmatic viewpoint there. Sorry, Lee, I interrupted you. Did you want to ask a question?
No, I was just going to ask. I mean, you may lead on to this, Des, but obviously, with interested to know, because obviously you're talking about you'll play with live games, and how have you found that kind of transition to playing online? When did you start playing online? Because obviously you were playing live way before online poker would have even come into existence. When the kind of the poker boom online came about, did you start playing straight away, Graham, or is it just something which gradually you've done more of? Or?
I only play online if there's no live events. I go to a live event every day of the week, you know what I mean? But as I say, compared to playing online, I'm not really happy playing online, to be honest, because there's so much going on, and there's so many chancers out there, but when you sat down at £100, £200, £5,000 competition, then that's a different story. They don't want to chuck it in on 4-6 of hearts, you know what I mean? Whereas online, you're playing $5-10 or something. They chuck it in for because they got another $5 they can put in, and so it's just like I use the online game as entertainment, really, and it's like it's nice to be part of a team as well. So it's not really about the money or anything, but you can have a good laugh with your team members and stuff and the way they play and stuff like that. But yeah, and I mean, Pete and I have always wanted to help people, help other players. When we started Blue Blood together, and we were going great, and we were helping players and that, and then they got a bit of political stuff in, and they brought people in that weren't really up to playing, so we kind of got out because it was like they was taking everything the wrong way, and we didn't like that. We wanted to help players, not kind of do the stuff they wanted to do, but we moved on from that. And of course, Grosvenor were backing us at that time, and when we left, they moved on to Corals, and we don't hear much about Blue Blood these days.
I think if I can interrupt there, going back to how me and Graham met, as I say, I started playing poker about 25 years ago, and that was the first time I met Graham, and we weren't really friends then. And then I sort of took a break because I got a divorce, and took a break from playing poker, came back to playing live, and Graham was obviously still playing all through this period, and he sort of took me to one side, and I was top of the league in the local league at Gentin, and I was quite proud of myself. And Graham sort of took me to one side and he said, you might think you're good and stuff like that, but he said, if you really want to, I can take you, to the next level and get you to win national tournaments, not just local ones. And so that was just an opportunity for me, which I just couldn't pass up, knowing his history and the success that he'd had. For someone to offer to mentor me, I'd sort of jumped at it, and everything else I was blink of vision, and we sort of then set up a partnership kind of thing where we would play in the casino. I played more often than Graham, to be honest, because he had commitments and family. And what we did was we put money aside to play in bigger tournaments. So going back to Des's question, how did he fund bigger tournaments? That's exactly what we did. We put money aside, and I went off on holiday with my girlfriend to Greece, and Graham took £300 and went up to Dusk Till Dawn.
There's 320 in there. I could have took it.
We had 300.
He's 20. That's 20 he owes you, Peter. You didn't know about that.
He probably used that for expenses. He did drive up to Nottingham and back and played the Norwegian Open.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Played
in the car park.
Those weekends, yeah, wow.
Yeah. And he played in a £300. I don't think it was the main event. It was like one of the second biggest tournament they had.
The Viking Classic.
Yeah, and he played, and he played a £300, and there were some really crazy players in there.
Oh yeah, Jesus,
but he got quite deep with Lucy Rokesh, who you probably know quite well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They were like adversaries, and Graham knew her really well, and vice versa. And he had a really big hand against her.
Just interrupting, Pete. Lucy was the best lady player I ever met.
Yeah.
No, she was. She was a very aggressive player, and along the same lines as Ram Vaswani, wasn't she? And so anyway, to cut a long story short, Graham ended up coming second in that tournament and won £12,000, was it?
Can't remember. It could have been 20,000.
Yeah, and so I'm on holiday coming back.
He owes you £8,000, right? There's £8,000 coming your way, Pete.
So I'm on holiday, coming through customs with my girlfriend. I'm getting this text message saying, "Oh, we're in the money. You've got 50% of me," because obviously we split everything.
Yeah, great.
So I went off on holiday, spent about £300 on a cheap holiday to Greece, and come back with £6,000.
You came back in profit.
Wow,
Fantastic.
Yeah, a couple of days because I said I ain't getting it from the bank because it was a check. And he was getting a bit nervous about that, by the way.
I bet he was.
But
So tell
the
me-
thing is, though, guys, you do hear so many stories in poker where people, we've got a gentleman's agreement, or we've got an agreement, we were friends, and then all of a sudden money gets involved, and things don't always go the way that they plan. I can understand, people getting worried, but it's nice to know when you've got a friendship like that.
Yeah.
And you trust each other, and you look out for each other. I think it's a beautiful thing, really is.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Well,
yeah, because
I can honestly say about Pete, and I'll say that while he's here, I've never known him tell me a lie. He's an honest person. I don't know whether it's his religion or what, but it's, and as I say, I trust him and he trusts me. He knows I'd never stitch him. I've never stitched anybody up, So it's like, it's not about the money. I mean, my reputation and my integrity is above reproach, mate. I wouldn't do anybody down, even though I've been accused of it on several occasions.
That's
But
fair
it's
enough.
jealousy and stuff like that. They kind of want to be your friend, but they're stabbing you in the back. You know what I mean? So, but people are like that sometimes, But most people are okay, But I just wanted to say about Pete, in spite of people sometimes slag him off.
What did they say? Tell us. We could get huge ratings. What did they say about Pete?
Well,
yeah, I won't go there.
Oh, he's gone quiet. He's gone quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah, they kind of try and sag him off to me, and I won't have none of it, you know.
Oh,
And
there
I
you
tell
go,
them
see?
straight, you know. So they think I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, but I don't.
No, that's fair enough. That's what friends are. That's what friends are for.
I know he doesn't do these kind of things, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So tell me, Pete, what did you get from Graham as far as improving your game was concerned? So, the vision of moving from being a local level player to being a national level player, and obviously the relationship has, it's lasted the test of time. But what did you get from a playing point of view from him?
Well, I was obviously doing, making fundamental mistakes and making schoolboy errors in hands, but getting lucky and still winning. So, if you do a lot of things and it goes well and you're running good, you don't really sit back and analyze it. And one of the biggest things I remember is Ellen Graham's ex-partner. She's now since passed away, sadly. She won a satellite for me to go to I think it's on iPoker, for me to go to Madrid and play an £1,100 tournament in Madrid. 1,100 euros, sorry.
Can I just jump in? Sorry, I've got to do this. But me and Pete were going to play at a local casino, and he was in this satellite, and he said, I thought he was going to stay and play it. I said, no, Ellen will play it. And he said, Ellen? I said, yeah. I said, it's all right. I taught her how to play. She knows she's a bloody good player, And he said, you sure? I said, of course I'm sure. It's all right. So Pete will tell you the rest.
Yeah, so she won the package. So I went over there with my girlfriend and went to Madrid and played the tournament. And my exit hand was against some crazy Scandinavian, and I had aces. And Graham, I came back and said to Graham, I went out, I had aces. And he said, his question was, would you play the aces the same way every time? And I said, yeah, I played it perfectly because I'm quite a stubborn person. And I said, I definitely played the hand correctly. I just got unlucky. And then we sat down and analysed, all the different options, how I could have played that hand and how I wouldn't have gone bust. And, how I could have still been in the tournament. Obviously, the 1,100 euros at that point in time was the biggest tournament I'd ever played. It was ridiculously big. And, the prize was about 60,000 euros. Yeah. And I ran deep, but obviously went out with aces. And for any player, you go, I lost with aces against, I think he had Jack 7 or Jack 10 of diamonds or something like that. I was justified that I played okay. But then, we sat down and we analysed it, and that was Graham's insight. He showed me about 5 different options of how I could have played pre-flop. I could have limped, I could have raised, I could have shoved all in. It gave me about, as I say, 5 or 6 different options. So that's just to give you an insight into what he added to my game.
No, nice. And tell me, Peter, so how do you think both of your games has evolved through the years? So poker's quite a different game today, right? Many would say that. Has your game evolved to such a degree that actually you're able to now share advice back with Graham, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so. Although recently in squads, I've been telling Graham that he's played hands badly, and he's like, "No, you just." So I've had to swallow my pride and go back and realise that I'm making, going back to making schoolboy errors, and so I've had to reassess my game. Because the funny thing is, Graham. It's funny because a lot of new players come into the game, especially younger players, and don't respect the older players. Yeah. And they say, this guy's playing an old style of poker. He's playing very tight and, the old classic limp under the gun with aces and shove. That's kind of old school. Most people would raise under the gun. I mean, I got raised tonight by Natalie Bromley with Jack 3 of diamonds, which was interesting.
That's a good hand for Natalie.
Yeah, but it was interesting. We went to showdown because I wanted to see what she was raising me with, and needless to say, she went out before I did, so it wasn't too upset. But what I'm saying is,
I think it might have been me that gave Natalie the player stats on you, Pete. Sorry, I just gave her my notes.
Well, she probably wasn't. She was attacking my big blind quite regularly, and I am quite a passive player, so she's not wrong in doing that. And any hand is a viable hand to play. But it was just interesting to go to showdown and see actually what she'd been raising me. Yeah. What I'm kind of saying is Graham's style of play is very, very, I wouldn't say passive, but he waits till he has a big hand and he plays it optimally. and that's very, very old school. And
Yeah.
the new school. I've had a lot of discussions with Marion, Marion Giori.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he studies, shove charts, and he studies a lot of online stuff. And he sort of says, Graham's game's a little bit dated and it's old and stuff like that. But I can assure you, Graham's game is better than anybody probably in the squads, and it's proved because he's been really, really consistent.
When you say shove charts, that's what Daniel Negreanu calls cheat sheets, isn't it? Yeah, just checking we're talking about the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I listened to the Orbit. You said about the Orbit. I listened to the Orbit the other day with the one that you suggested, the one with Rob Young and Phil Galfond.
Oh, and Daniel, Phil Galfond, yeah.
Really, really good that was, and so we're looking forward to the Phil Helmuth one. So that'll be good.
Phil Helmuth one. Have you got a Phil Helmuth one coming up, Lee? Well, we do have an exclusive teaser tonight, guys, and I think one can assume that Phil Helmuth's going to be in it somewhere. And he's a blast. He's just loud, isn't he? He's just loud.
I like Phil. I get on well with Phil.
I was going to say, I mean, you must have played with some really interesting characters, sort of over the years. Tell me about Phil.
Well, you see a lot of what he is on the table, but when you meet him personally, he's not like that. It's a lot of showman stuff he does, and he is a really, really nice guy. And the guy who's won 15 bracelets, I think it is.
Yeah, something crazy like
Some
that.
people say he's rubbish.
Oh, he's not. He's not rubbish, is he?
What kind of people say that? It's people who don't like him.
Yeah.
But he is. He's I reckon he's the best player in the world. I do. You've got to be pretty good to win 15 bracelets, haven't you?
Well, just based on results, you'd have to say, I mean, certainly World Series of Poker history, based on bracelets, he's the best player in the world. And as Pete mentioned, Lee produced, Robbie Straczynski interviewed. We had the pleasure of having Phil record an episode of The Orbit, about a week ago, Lee, and it's gone through production and it's ready to go live next Thursday. So we do have
you'll have everybody watching that. God.
I hope so, because it was a goodie, and we do have an exclusive teaser. So I know you're playing poker and stuff, lads, but if you want to see, and ladies, if you want to see this exclusive teaser for next Thursday's episode of The Orbit, then just take a look at your screens now. Here we go.
You played with Chip and Doyle, it seemed like every day for 3 years.
The newcomer, the new No Limit players, the people with the hoodies, the people with the sunglasses, and they sit like a statue out there.
I don't know how lucky you is a blockbuster.
It's guys like you, Ellie, and Phil Helmuth, and the players that we know from back in the old days that really made personalities what they are today for poker.
I don't go out of my way to say, God, I can't wait till I see Steven Chickwigger next.
Because people have figured out that, you can't play every hand.
If Ellie wrote an autobiography, I would go buy it tomorrow.
I played with Stu Unger probably 10 times. What I felt in the table is what somebody intimidated me.
He was the biggest asshole on the table, for sure.
Jack made a bad ruling. That would have cashed me.
One of them that's supposed to be there. Because he's been there from the horseshoe days. You don't find many people from the horseshoe days.
He's the origin of the term chip in a chair.
Come on, Hopseed is not there yet?
Yeah, I think Fedor can be very interesting if he wants to be. He attacks me, but I say good things about him.
Zip it, Phil, zip it.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 6 of The Orbit.
Look, we got to have Norman's got the cash. We got to let Norman cash.
There you go, guys. That's episode 6 of The Orbit. Lee, we had a tremendous amount of fun doing that. Just share with the guys who's on and what they can expect on Thursday night.
Well, it's great. I go through the process of kind of watching it probably half a dozen or so times whilst we go through the production, and I laugh. I'm still laughing every single time I watch some bits of it. It's just absolutely is just great chat, old school stories, Vegas stories. There's prop bet stories in there. A few different opinions on some of the more kind of modern players of the day, but we've got Norman Chad on there. We've got obviously Phil Helmuth, who we mentioned, Ellie Alezra, and Matt Savage. And Robbie does an amazing. Well, actually, Robbie said it was one of the best ones he's ever done because he could sit back and they just chatted for the whole
absolutely
hour and a half or so. It was brilliant fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Really was. My personal highlight, and then I'll hand it over to you guys to have a chat about some of those people we saw in the preview. Was Norman? He told a story. He told a story about, and he's famous for telling stories about his ex-wives. Right? If you watch the World Series of Poker over the years, Norman always has a gag about his ex-wives. Well, he detailed one out, and to be honest, it was the first thing we have ever cut out of the orbit. It was so funny. So we can't say anything more about that other than it was truly a funny episode. So if you do get a chance on Thursday night at 7 p.m., it'll be on twitch.tv/poker, and it'll appear on YouTube and Facebook and all of those other channels sort of thereafter. But if you do get a chance, do listen. So your mate Phil was in there, Graham.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, Phil, he's always going to be Mr. Entertainment anyway. But if he's on a table where they're interrupting him, he will actually say, "Don't keep on like that," or something like that, because you're affecting my reading skills. And I love that comment because he uses it quite a bit.
Yeah.
He is a good reader of the game, without a doubt.
He's a good reader, and I tell you, having listened to the guys for crikey, I don't know, close to an hour and a half, whatever it was, just over an hour, and really the focus of that episode was about the old days, and what meta character and what is missing a bit in today's game, and how we could maybe get some of that back. So it was a really interesting listen. And, when they talked about the likes of Huckseed and Stu Unger and, all of those sort of classic names from the game of years of old, it's obvious that we're sort of missing a bit of that today. Is that a fair comment?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, because, the guy touched on where I've told Pete many times, sunglasses indoors, all these hoodies. iPads, hoodies, and covering their face up and all that. It really does make me laugh to see them. You know what I mean? It's like unbelievable, really, what they do. But everybody's entitled to do what they like. You know what I mean? Providing they're honest and straightforward, they can do what they like. They pay their money for the tournament. They can play how they like. If they want to play 2-3 every game, they can play it. They pay the money. It's no good anybody criticising them for it.
Absolutely.
The final question of the show, we do a turbo question, and it is just about the longest turbo round I think we've ever done on the orbit, because the four of them just started going off, just chatting about everything and anything. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
We were able to edit it down. That could have gone on for hours, couldn't it?
Oh, we should have just let it go. Unfortunately, you got to make an episode, right, with a set time. But it was great. And I think, ironically, while the standard of poker is almost certainly better today, right? The pure technical standard of how the game is played is probably better today. I think many people would maybe recognize that. I think what the game is missing is huge characters, and huge characters bring in TV audiences, and they bring in new players. And Lee, there was some sort of discussion around a couple of hot old poker properties that are making a return later. In the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, so in December, so obviously the big one is that the high stakes poker is going to be returning. And Phil was chatting away about that, about the filming of that, and gave some quite good insights into what happens behind the scenes, actually, which was quite interesting. But what I thought was more interesting about that was watching Ellie's kind of reaction, because obviously he'd made the decision not to play in those because of obviously where we are at the moment with lockdowns and COVID, and he didn't feel it was worth the risk. But you could see that he was absolutely desperate to get back to playing those games because of the people. Yeah, as simple as that. The money and the poker is a secondary thing. It was very much about wanting to get back there and enjoy putting those for entertainment shows together for people to watch.
Yeah, do you know, Pete will tell you this. You see my stats saying we've won 1 million between us and that. In actual fact, Pete will tell you on many occasions I shared when I was in front, because I was happy with what I had. And I always used to say, put me down as second, because I never was looking for trophies ever. You know, and so the stats don't always reflect actually how much money I have won. You know?
There we go. Pete, there's more money to be had.
The tax man's listening, yeah.
Well, listen, guys.
I should just at this point, just very quickly, just rattle in that we are down to 5 in the Sunday roller. We are keeping an eye on it, but obviously it's great fun chatting to you guys. We'll keep an eye. Shirley Cole is currently chip leader. She's just busted. She's just busted the kings of Victor with queens. There was a queen on the flop, so Shirley has a decent chip lead now with 5 remaining.
Listen, what we're going to do, Lee, we are going to briefly go back into the chat box. We're going to do a quick run through the chat box. And then I think we'll have a quick chat about the World Series of Poker, the main event, apparently being played again this year. So we'll come back to that in 2 or 3 minutes' time. But just going back into the chat box, just a few shout-outs to people who've joined us. Some of these are going back some minutes, I have to say. Jeff Talbot is there. Ian Eyre, Warden of the Northeast, is there. Barry Cullen joined. Don Logan joined. Tony Ross. Steve Brook. Gunther Surink said, good evening, guys. Good evening to you. Gunther. Gaz Howard is back and on his feet and says, how is all? All is good. Gaz, hope you are too. Liam Pickering was there. Gary Hollins. David Amos. Gerald Bishop. Matt Pitt said, oh, hold on. Did I say Matt Pitt? Just give me a minute. Here we go. There we go. Super Matt Pitt says, Helmuth is the best player in the world against bad players. That's interesting. But do you know what? If you put yourself against bad players, or if you find yourself against bad players and can take advantage of it, that's pretty good strategy. Tom Banks said he might be the best poker player in the world, but he's the shittiest driver. And there's a link to a YouTube video, which I'm sure is probably chaotic. Gunther says, Ellie is a legend. And I must admit, I loved seeing Ellie on High Stakes Poker. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Ellie is based out in Israel, hence his reticence to travel all the way over to the States. Ian McGoldrick is with us. Jamie Follett is there. Gunther says, got the Poker Go app. Looking back at the old High Stakes cash game, great show, which it is, as Ian comes back and says, evening, Des and Lee, evening to you, Ian. So there we go, guys, a little sort of wander through the years in poker. The biggest event in poker, guys, is the World Series of Poker main event. It has been for many, many years now. And, I'd love to hear if either of you have a World Series of Poker main event story to share with us. But, of course, the big news this year, following on from the series going online due to the pandemic globally, is the announcement that followed maybe, 2 weeks ago from the World Series of Poker that they were going to do the main event. They were going to do a US version on WSOP.com. They were going to do an international version on GG. They were going to have 2 final tables that would be played live, one in Prague, if I'm not mistaken, and one in Vegas, I want to say, with the 2 winners of both of those final tables meeting heads up to become effectively the World Series of Poker main event champion of 2020. So I guess my first question, if I throw this out to you, Graham, is that a bit of a sham? Can the winner of that event truly hold their head up this year and be the main event champion? And what can you tell us of your experiences in Vegas over the years?
Well, I mean, in the year when I was there last, I went to Vegas and I intended to play the World Series, but I played a lot of satellites and I was $55,000 in front after satellites, and I never even played them. I didn't need the series, so I packed up. But I mean, to play for so long in the World Series and get through, you need a lot of luck. You can't win without luck, but you need a lot of skill as well, and you've got to be very, very patient, and that's absolutely fundamental in any tournament you play. You have to be patient, and that's what poker is about, being patient. Obviously knowledgeable and know when to play and when not to play, when to put that. Look, I've been in finals before now, and I have passed aces before the flop.
Wow.
But it pay. Look, I would have won the hand on one of them, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I went through and won the tournament, so I did the right thing. There was like 4 guys in the pot. There's a raise, a re-raise, and I didn't want to take the chip leader on. I thought, well, a couple's going out here anyway. I'm laddering up. Why should I take a chance?
It's interesting. Those aren't the words of a gambler, you know, which I think is the one thing I'm learning tonight.
I've never considered poker a gamble. I don't gamble. I don't gamble at poker. I gamble on it virtually everything else, right?
Yeah.
I don't gamble at poker. It's not a gamble to me. And people say, "Oh, you gamble." I don't gamble. I play the percentages, and the percentages are always right for me. And mostly, and that's a good word to use, mostly, when I put my chips in, I'm in front.
Yeah.
They have to get lucky to outdraw me. And I mean, I use different terms with Pete all the time. I've been mentoring him, and mostly was one of them. I said, mostly you'll win, but on this occasion, mostly you'll lose. So you don't play this kind of hand in early position. You know, you've got to play position right. You have to do all that. And the World Series, I mean, the luckiest player I ever seen win the World Series was Jamie Gold.
Yeah.
I mean, crikey.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I mean, that was like incredible. But he had Johnny Chan behind him, and he is an excellent player, absolutely brilliant, right? But how the hell he managed to get him through and win the World Series, I don't know. But that's what happened.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
anybody can win these games because you know, if it's your day, or week, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Going back to your original question, Des.
Yeah, Pete.
You know, basically, I feel it will be a shallow victory, winning like the online version, and then playing heads up or a final table from the US and the European version of it. I don't think there's anything that replaces live poker. Because the skills that you have to have playing online are completely different from the skills playing live. So for somebody to claim that prize and to claim the best player in the world, if they're the best online player, fair enough. So I don't think you can really compare the two. That's my personal view on it.
Yeah. Although uniquely in this particular version, of course, you're going to have to be quite an adept player, both online and live, because you're going to have to come through, some tough players in either, channel, as it were.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of arguments with people and discussions with people saying, that you have to be a good online player to be a good live player, and I disagree. You can be good at both. I mean, look at Adam Owen; he's phenomenal,
great player
online, and he's phenomenal live. And Stephen Chidwick the same, and a lot of the top players can cross both platforms, and so I'm not saying that that's not the norm, but for me personally, and certainly for Graham, we play online poker and we play the squads and play the 7 p.m. tournaments because it's fun, and we are profitable in that. I feel, aren't we?
I mean, as I keep saying to Pete, it's only a game. It's only a game. If you lose, you lose. It's only a game. That's what people don't realise. It's just a game.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing I was going to say, I don't know whether I sent a message to Lee to say to him I've actually booked a flight to Vegas for May, which may be a bit early. But obviously with the Black Friday deals that Virgin were doing, I just couldn't resist it because the miles, the Virgin miles were worth double. So I've got upgraded. So I booked it. And it's a flexible flight.
Oh, it's fantastic! I tell you, we love a good pandemic story here. We love a good moan about Trump and all of that stuff. We love it. It's kept us going over the months, hasn't it, Lee? But
absolutely,
We'd have to believe flying in May, fairly safe proposition. I mean, it's a reasonably safe proposition today. Reasonably safe. You'd have thought.
Yeah. I mean,
look. I said to Pete, I told you about gambling. And that's a gamble to me, that is.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed when I was looking on Poker Atlas before I booked the flights, and I noticed that there was a horse tournament which whenever I've been to Vegas, the only place I can play horse are either Binions or the Orleans.
Yeah.
And I found a horse tournament at the Sahara. Now that's a name from the past, isn't it?
Yeah, crikey.
They've opened up a new card room, the Sahara card room, and I looked at I went onto the website because it intrigued me. I thought, bloody hell. And it's kind of in between the circus and the stratosphere, you know, circus and the stratosphere.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a new casino and a new card room. And I looked at the rooms and it's amazing. The rooms themselves are really, really cheap because of the location, but the quality of the rooms and everything else is just amazing. So
do they confirm that there are windows in the rooms? Because there's a lot of buildings half sort of constructed over there at the moment, as I understand it.
Well, as far as I'm aware, that is open. I know that Resorts World is still closed at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's been opened yet, and I think they put that on hold, which is
that'll
probably
be
understandable.
Yeah, that will be interesting. It's nice to hear. It's nice to actually hear somebody sort of, you know, planning to go, because I have to say, I mean, crikey, if we haven't got the ability to travel around with some degree of safety by May of next year, it will have been just a horrendously bad year and a half, as it were. But you go at an interesting time, because arguably, if if things are considered nice and safe, and the World Series does bounce back, arguably, it would start in probably the 3rd or 4th week of May. You wouldn't be tempted to hang on for a few of the early events?
Well, I did speak. I had a conversation with Paul Haycock earlier today, and we were chatting about that, because he said, "Oh, you realise it's just literally just before the World Series starts." And the temptation for me, my holiday at work finishes on March the 31st. The temptation was to take my holiday prior to that, and I just thought that is really gambling. That's too early.
Yeah.
So I decided to put it into May, but I said to Paul, obviously the dates are flexible. So what I might lose is my upgrades, because I'm flying out economy classic. I'm flying back premium.
Okay.
Because of the deal that I got, but I could move the dates. I might have to adjust things. But if I felt that I wanted to play some stuff, and obviously if me and Graham get a bankroll to the level that we want to, can play some WSOP events.
I don't like using my own money.
Quite right. Well, we still remember that 20 quid, right? Where's that 20 quid gone, Graham? That's what I want to know. Okay, well, listen, guys, we have 4 left now in the roller. So why don't we take 10 or 15 minutes to zoom in on the last 4 players in that event, and why don't you guys talk us through some hands? Obviously, we're not seeing any hole cards, but in terms of what you are seeing, why don't you share some insight? So over to you guys.
So let me give you just a quick rundown where we're at. So blinds are currently 12,500, 25,000. 4 players remaining. Shirley Cole is the chip leader with 1.9 million. Tom Bacon in second with just under $1 million, as is Robert James, and currently the 4th place player is Joshua Rendell with 650,000. So still plenty of play for the 4 of them, guys. Would you say?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've not heard of it. Can you tell me where Joshua's from? Is he from the UK?
Germany.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Because I've played against Thomas Bacon up at Dust Till Dawn, so I know him quite well. And I've not played live against Shirley, but obviously had discussions with her and played online. So, they're both capable players. And certainly Thomas is quite an aggro player. He likes to, raise the buttons and things like that. And he's a good online player.
I mean, the guys are all guaranteed, as we've got an all in and a call. Robert's got ace 3, and it's ace jack for Tom, and we're going to lose. I was just about to say, guys, and obviously
medal bubble.
I was going to say exactly on this weekend, it's a medal bubble, and that does play an impact in APAT games. Certainly does, but that's burst very quickly, and Rob James is going to finish in 4th place. So we've got our 3 medalists now. So how does Tom and Shirley now play this, having similar stack size against a much shorter stack player in Josh?
What would you say, Graham?
Well, Josh is going to make a move at some stage, otherwise he get blinded away.
He's got 20 big blinds.
He's got to make a move, and neither one of the other 2 want to finish second, you see.
Oh,
right. So if he puts pressure on them, they're unlikely to call him without the hand. You've got to think like that, haven't you? Because otherwise, if he's going to make a move, he makes it all in. There's no doubt about it, and he'll pick up the blinds, and in the end, he'll agitate them that much that somebody's going to take him on, and hopefully he'll have the hand then. You know,
Now,
that's how I do.
would you say, Graham, players pay enough attention to stack sizes when playing?
They do, and they play this game all the way through, and then when they get to the final and they're like in the money and they kind of think, I got all the chips, so I can bully everybody. Well, they better try bullying me, because it doesn't work. You know, I only play if I got the hand, and then when I got the hand, you know, I stick them all in, and then they got a decision to make. So basically, you know, everybody plays different. Look, I play different to anybody else. Sometimes I play this way, sometimes I play that way. And I've always told Pete, be maneuverable. Always change your game around, and we always swap around. And I show him, you know, the moves and that you do. I can sit at the table, not play a hand for maybe 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden I'll re-raise somebody with 6-2 offsuit. They don't know I got 6. They think I've been waiting for aces, and I got aces. Well, obviously they do think I got aces. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong, doesn't it?
Not you can do. Well, Graham, you'll be pleased to know that the chairman of the Graham Pound fan club is in the chat box tonight. Jeff Talbot says, "I must say, I agree with everything Graham has said."
Wow. Oh, good. I wish he was at the judge in my bankruptcy thing.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, this seems a perfect time, Des, as the players are just on a break for a couple of minutes. I can do this big announcement starting on Tuesday, I guess. Really.
Okay. Do you think are they gone for a wee though?
I doubt it. I doubt it, to be perfectly honest.
If we do, we won't have the microphone with us.
Indeed.
Well, go for it, Lee. Go for it.
I can happily pad it out for another 2 minutes 34 before announcing what we're going to do. No, I'll let people know, because we'll be firing out in the next couple of days as well. But wanted to give people a bit of a heads up as to what's going on. Obviously, so starting on Tuesday, it's the 1st of December, and we're going to run an advent calendar promotion in conjunction with Glenn and the guys at Dusk Till Dawn. So we're going to very much look at the Dusk Till Dawn community and the APAT community online, and we're going to run a advent calendar promotion. And we have got over £1,500 worth of gifts that we are going to be adding to our 7 p.m. tournaments.
Is Robert adding anything? Because he's smashing bloke, he is. If you talk to him nice.
There are a few bits and pieces added in. So from the 1st to the 24th, every one of our 7 p.m. games will have an added gift for the winner. You'll have to claim it through one of either the Facebook group or the Twitter account of either the Dusk Till Dawn or APAT to be able to claim it. It's very much aimed at our community players that have been supporting both through the lockdown. We'll announce the prize each day, so keep an eye out for that, and you can put a claim in. But we've got, let me look at the list of what we've got going on here. We've got Apple HomePod Minis, we've got Monster headphones, we've got Beats headphones, we've got chocolates, we've got poker books. We've even got cash. The cash is going to be great.
Oh,
I haven't told you about that.
I like the cash.
I haven't told you. Yeah. I haven't told you about the cash, but basically the next 3 APAT shows between now and Christmas, one player will play a live heads-up game for one of the cash prizes each week. So we've got that lined up as well. We've got online tickets as well. We've got there's a month's worth of Sunday Roller, APAT Sunday Roller tickets. There's a month's worth of APAT Poker Squads tickets as one of the prizes as well. There's also entries into some of the Dusk Till Dawn Christmas Cup, because they've got a schedule that's happening between Christmas and New Year with guaranteed tournaments each night. So you can win entries into those as well. So keep an eye on the Facebook group and on the Twitter account. But that all starts on Tuesday. So that will replace our normal added value on our Tuesday. But it's the same tournament. So the same 7 days. Pete probably knows them better than I do. But it's heads up on a Tuesday, 6 max on a Wednesday, stud on a Thursday, Omaha on a Friday, 8 max on a Saturday, the roller on a Sunday, and pot limit Omaha high-low on the Monday. So that will run from the 1st to the 24th.
So
there's everybody there. Everybody should be playing.
Yeah. That's great. And Tuesday presumably is December the 1st, Lee, right? Advent calendar
It is.
promotion.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah,
Great
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly.
And tell me, I need to know, will there be a chocolate behind the door of something? Any chocolates?
There
even
are
on a
some chocolates.
Sunday night when we're doing the APAT show,
There
chocolates
are some,
maybe?
There are some chocolates, yeah.
Oh,
there are some chocolates. But I'm genuinely really excited about that. Say there are
That's
3
great.
prizes in there where we will one of the prizes will be we will get you on the APAT show and we will stream a heads up game against a mystery player, and if you win that game you will win cash.
Big cash?
So,
wow.
yeah,
Okay,
I think it's 50. I think it's 50 quid.
That's exciting. Listen, if we get to the end of December, right, and anyone's not happy with the results, okay, can they go recount? Fake.
Yes, yeah. You
can that shit happen? Can we do that?
You can. All I ask for is just $3 million. That's all. It's a small fee, and I can't promise that actually the result won't go against you. But that's all I ask for. So players are back in the roller. So 3 players remaining. So a number of players. We've had lots of players on the APAT show, guys, over the months. This 3-handed thing, when you're the chip leader and looking to go at the middle stack rather than the short stack to try and give you best chance of actually winning the tournament. How does that play out when Shirley and Tom have got similar stacks to start with here?
Well, the thing is, if they've got similar stacks, and I mean they're raising, they're like you want them to take one another on if you're the short stack, but if you're gonna play, you've got to stick the lot in. Now it's a bit different, I think, because it's like everything evolves in this game, and the short stack can easily become the top stack on the table. So with 500,000 chips,
Got 15 big blinds.
he can get that in against the 2 of them, and he's up to 1.5 million. You know what I mean? So basically, he has to get them in, but he has to get them in good.
You make it sound so simple, Graham.
It is. It's
a simple game.
It's not a game of cards anymore. It's a game of putting them in. To win the blinds and just move on from there. You have to kind of each. You don't necessarily look when you put all your chips in. It don't matter what hand you got. You don't want them to call. That's all. Do
you think? So do you think Joshua's got enough of a stack here whereby the other 2, it's tough for the other 2 to make a call?
Exactly, because if they lose and have 400,000 or 500,000 off their stack, they go to 1.3 or 1.7 kind of thing, and he goes up, doubles. He's 8 and 900,000. So he's dangerous again now.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Just looking in the chat, Gunther says, is it the $11 games? Yes, Gunther, they are the ones. 7 o'clock every night. It's $11, apart from on the Sunday where it's the $33 Sunday roller. But you can get into that from $3.30 every night of the week as well. So it's the $11 games. So don't forget that the heads up on a Tuesday is no late registration, and the stud game, which I know Pete. Well, I think you both regularly play the stud game, don't you? On a Thursday night.
Yeah, Graham was 3rd and won it the week before.
Yeah, the biggest stud game on Party Poker, Des. Yeah,
you love it, don't you?
Well, I got lucky. That's all.
It's absolutely hugely.
Absolutely huge. Yeah. So yeah, but the stud game you can only play on the Windows downloadable client. So if you're on a Mac or a mobile, you'll have to go and dust off the old Windows computer if you want to play that one on a Thursday night. But the stud game's pretty good. It seems to be we still get regular decent numbers. I would hope for December with these added promotions as well. And Dust Till Dawn are promoting. Glenn and the guys over there are promoting this as well. That hopefully we'll see numbers increase a little bit, and it's always nice. It's been nice for this weekend gone. I mean, the prizes, we had 100 runners in the No Limit Hold'em Championship yesterday. That was won, Des, by Charles Mason. Don't know whether you.
I know, yeah. WCOEP main event winner from 20 something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether you saw the the cash list from the Omaha on the Friday night. Pete cashed in 10th, got a min cash in that. Just as we're watching Shirley and Tom play a hand here, but Pete, that was some ridiculous final
The
10
final
players,
table,
wasn't
right?
it?
Final table of
So
the ages.
I'll run down the list. So you had so Martin Sanderson won it. Brendan Byrne was second, and Paul Haycock was third. You also had John Murray, Tony Ross, Asa McGrath, Marion, and Steve Redfern and Pete. They were in the top 10. That is a ridiculous list of players.
That's a soft field there.
It was
Lee,
really
I'd be looking around at the rest of them thinking, shit, I'm the sucker. It's me.
I mean,
I'm that
you'd
guy.
be disappointed if you finished. You'd be disappointed if you finished in 10th in that, wouldn't you, Des? Really, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Quite a good result that for me, I'd have said.
Yeah, Brendan took me out. Surprise. But it was funny because it was really, really competitive. Even just before the money, I was messaging Paul Haycock, and there was a guy that raised. He flatted it, and then I just potted it, and he's like, "Oh, nice squeeze, Peter." And I said, "I actually had back-to-back aces," which he didn't believe me, I don't think. But yeah, it's just.
But we now know you don't lie, Pete, because Graham's told us you don't lie. So
I might a little bit. I'm not worried.
What a time to find out on live radio.
He's not been telling you the truth all these years, Graham. A few little white fibs every now and again.
Yeah.
I find poker quite interesting because I don't know whether I've told you before, but I was brought up as a Mormon when I was a child, so I had quite a strict upbringing, and a lot of people would be surprised to hear that I don't drink and smoke. So I'm no longer a Mormon, but I still practice those principles, and so poker and gambling probably aren't really something that you would expect. Certainly not my family. But even
hang on a minute, we'll just get Tony Trippier on the line, and you, Tony, and Des can have a chat for the rest of the night.
About religion.
I could happily finish the night with a religious discussion, I have to say. But you wouldn't have been
not to mention football. So
do it.
Let's do it. Though Leeds won today, 1-0. Yes.
Listen, you wouldn't have been the first.
I did Pete a dinner a couple of 3 years ago, and I did him a pudding, and then he had it. And on the way home, when he was on his way home, I realised I'd used brandy sauce in it. So I was a bit. It took me a year to tell him. He said, "That's all right, as long as I didn't know."
Fair enough. They started the evening as friends, Lee.
Yeah. So Paul Haycock just said what Graham said was, "I've never known Peter to lie." He said, "Just proves how good a liar Pete is."
Yeah.
And listen, Pete, I don't know if you know this, but you're not necessarily the first of your religious group to do well in poker. There was that guy, Chris Moorman did well.
Oh yeah.
Did very well.
I've read his book and I've been to the show.
Yeah, that's right. Amen.
Book of Mormon was a great one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, if you like religious discussion, and not too many will admit to it, but we had Tony Trippier on. Oh my God, it feels like months ago, and do you know what? It probably was. And we just we locked into this conversation that went on for about 20 minutes. Maybe longer, on Tony's upbringing and the fact that his dad turned to Jehovah's Witnesses effectively at a very important point in Tony's growing up, like he's a teenager and all of that sort of stuff. And it was just it was really, really interesting just to hear how that story developed. And then his girlfriend, Tony's girlfriend, shortly afterwards, her dad was a born again Christian. So the discussions across the meal table must have been absolutely intense, absolutely fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah, no, the poker industry and the playing against other people is quite an interesting thing because people come to the poker table from all different kinds of backgrounds, and I think I mentioned earlier today on Facebook that I've probably had a few arguments with people and I haven't seen eye to eye with them. But I've also, and Graham would attest to this, we've met some amazing people. I've been to dinner with Andy Black, who obviously you had on the show on. You can have him on Tuesday, aren't you?
Yeah, every Tuesday in December. Funnily enough, we're doing an Advent calendar Andy Black special every Tuesday. Yeah.
But yeah,
he's gonna open the door live. We've got that's right, Des. We've got Andy doing that. Yeah.
Andy's booked. Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to put all of those shows on the
checking.
12-inch remix that we release with our
Just
annual
checking if-
calendar.
Yeah, just checking. Stars aren't running any big tournaments or anything, are they, during December? No.
I don't think so, Lee. It doesn't really matter.
No,
We've got
we'll
Andy.
be all right. We'll be okay.
Andy
We'll be all right.
We've got Andy. He can multitask. He's a man.
Well,
as I say, Graham's actually, Graham's background and his history, and obviously playing poker, he's got to meet. I'm sure he's got quite a few stories. If you were to sort of go deeper with Devilfish, if you want to.
Yeah, Dave Ulia, Devilfish. I was playing in, I think the seniors in the Orleans, I think it was. And Dave, I played him on regular things and I got on well with Dave. But he was invited up on stage before the tournament started to get his guitar out and do a song and that. And that was a big mistake for him because he started singing a song about beans round a campfire or something, and they said we don't know that kind of thing here. And they slung him off the stage, but he landed up on my table, and unfortunately I knocked him out. But Dave's all. And look, I played him many times and down different places and that, and Pete the Bandit. He's like he used to be on Channel 4 a lot and that, and
he was friends with Mad Marty.
Yeah, and it was like we were all Mad Marty. Yeah, fantastic guy. But the thing is, the Bandit was sat next to me, and Dave was in the middle, and I think it might have been in Barcelona, and Dave did a raise, and anyway, it landed up that the diamond came, which left me one diamond to make the flush. And Dave bet, and I raised him. He showed me two pair and chucked them away. And I lifted my cards up to show the Bandit, and the Bandit said to me, "You've just been crossed off Dave's Christmas card list." He said, he said, because I'm going to tell him. I said, "Evans, what are you talking about?" I said, "I'm your mate." But yeah, we did have some laughs, and I remember I did a bit of a dance in Barcelona. It was to Aretha Franklin thing or something, and it was only me there, and all these disco lights was on. I'd had a few drinks, and me and Pete went outside, and we were sat outside having a glass of wine and that. And Dave came out of the thing, and he said, "Appreciated your dancing there." I didn't even know he was in there because it was so. And it was like he said, "I'll get you a drink," and I said, "Oh, I'll have a glass of wine, Dave. Thanks a lot." So he went and got the drink, and he come back, and anyway, we had a little chat, and then he disappeared into the Barcelona moonlight. And Pete said to me, he said, "You know what? That's the first drink Devilfish has ever bought me." And I said, "Look, you had your mouth open all the time, and you didn't even ask him for one. He never got you one." I said, "Them two you had already." Honestly, that's how bad he was. Yeah, great fun with Marty and Pete. Yeah, he's been the Bandit. You know what I mean? He's a good player. But as I say, we've been to some different places, and Marty, his jokes and stuff like that, he's had us in stitches. Honestly, he really has. Good guy.
You've heard the story that Marty tells about he was zooming down the M6 one night in the back of a truck picking up cones off the motorway so that they were doing roadworks. So he went. He said we went for about 14 miles picking up cones because they'd sell the cones on, Lee. Right? They were nicking the cones to sell them. He said we had a tailback of about 20 miles behind us as we were picking up the bloody cones. So he got home at about 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. He sort of gets into bed next to his better half. She gets up in the morning, walks out of the house, falls into a hole that's outside the house, breaks her leg. Well, he'd only gone and picked up 2 bloody cones outside his house the night before. He nicked them as well. Oh, stop. He was absolutely hilarious. We have lost some characters, I tell you.
Catherine was telling me, she said to me about Marty. He was doing a TV program and that, and they were playing cards. And it was heads up, and it's on film, and he landed up having a pair of 10s, and it came 10 queen 6, and the 6 came on the turn, so he got full house. And the guy bet, and Marty shoved all in, and the guy called him, and Marty shows his hand, and the other guy pulls 2 queens from the hole. He got full house queen, so Marty lost. And the cameraman said, "Look, we missed that. Can you do a replay in that, right?" And so they did the replay, and then on the turn, the guy bet, and Marty said fold.
Fantastic. One of the greatest folds ever seen on British TV.
I know he's got queens.
Yeah, he was a great guy. Yeah.
Oh, superb. We're still three-handed here, and Joshua's got that double up we were talking about.
Yeah.
So he's now up to about 1 million. So there's still a little bit of play in that. Let me give you a quick update on where we are with Poker Squads. Got some bad news for you, Graham. Somebody's overtaken you in the MVP.
Wow.
I expected that because
Stephen Healy, the Adelaide Bull, is now in the clubhouse with a score of 3-3-1 for the week. However,
here we go.
It wouldn't be a Sunday night. It wouldn't be a Sunday night with a however. We've got 11 players left, and he can be caught by Eddie Niaksu. In fact, I think he will be caught by Eddie.
Well, Eddie's in the chat box.
I think Eddie's going to.
So let him know.
Eddie is going to overtake him 100%. He can also be caught by, let's have a look. Frank Bailey can also catch him. Frank needs a win. So Frank is the other player that's still there. Win for Frank would take him top of the MVP. And as far as the Poker Squads goes, Celtic Storm are obviously, they're all locked up and done. However, they can be caught.
Today I was in line for the MVP. I'd have tried harder if he'd have told me earlier in the week.
Yeah, so Celtic Storm can be caught only by one team. There is only one man that can stop Celtic Storm from winning this week, and it is Eat My Stacks, Dean Pearson. Well, Dean needs to win this tournament. He is currently 7th of the 11 players remaining. It needs to be a win, Dean. We'll put Eat My Stack top.
Yeah, I would not back against Dean Pearson to do what he needs to do. Not at all. So I think we're guaranteed a blockbuster last sort of hour of the night.
And I should give a shout. Well, I don't want to get trouble if I mention this now. I know what's going to come of it. But currently, 11th of the 11 players remaining is the one and only Super Matt Pitts.
He does well. He does well when he's involved with the APAT show, whether he's on it or off it. As long as we're talking about him, he tends to do well.
Yeah.
Well done, Matt.
Yeah, Matt's well into the cash, so well done to him. But yeah, so that will play out interestingly. Obviously, but we need to get this roller sorted out before that. Tom Bacon's now taken a bit of a chip lead. Shirley's been chipped away ever so slightly, but still all to play. Don't forget, if you've got any questions you want to put to Peter or Graham whilst we've got them on the show, then bung it in the chat box, and we'll look to get those questions to them. So, Pete, I was going to ask when Des mentioned about the World Series earlier on. So, what do you make of what happened in the summer? So, there was a tweet out there of the guy that won. He won what he thought was the main event.
Yeah.
In the summer, the $5,000 buy-in. He's got his bracelet, he's got his certificate, and he put a tweet up, kind of going, a little bit awkward. What did I actually win? I mean, do you think that did you think the poker community thought that was the main event, and now they've thrown it in after, or You know,
Well, to be honest,
which way do you think he played it?
it'd be interesting to hear what Matthew Pitt thinks about it, because obviously he reports for, Poker News. But my perspective, and I probably think the majority of the poker community wouldn't even know who the guy was, and the fact that he won it, because, as I say, in my view, online poker is a different animal, and you just can't compare it. The pinnacle for me is the World Series, the main event, and anybody that's won that is held in great esteem. And I think even the guy, was it a German guy that won it a couple of years ago, and I'd never heard of him. He's quite an old guy. Certainly didn't have that many results, but when he played at the poker table, he said, "This is the World Series main event winner." And if the guy who won the online one turned up at a table, I'm sure it's pretty unlikely that people would turn around and go, "Oh."
But my point would be that with what went on during the summer, and obviously we're in very unusual times, and so they had they wanted to do something. So I mean, me personally, when that schedule came out in the summer, and they had all the bracelets, and they were making the doing the promo for it, and it was big PR for it, and this guy won the main event. As far as I was concerned, whether it was online or live, for a one-off for this year, because of everything that's gone on worldwide with the pandemic, you kind of went, well, okay, he's won the World Series main event for this year because that's the format it's had to be in. It's a level playing field for everybody. That's the situation. So to then come out later on in the year and say, actually, no, that really wasn't the main event. This $10,000 buy-in is going to be the main event, and this is what we're doing. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it kind of lessens it even more, doesn't it? Really, but as Graham alluded to earlier, to win a World Series main event, you effectively, is it 4 or 5 days that you have to play? I think it's five days of solid poker, and I'm sure if you play an online event, they're never going to have a 5-day online event. So it just doesn't. For me, it just doesn't compare anyway. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying they're now saying that wasn't the main event, and now they're saying there's another one, and trying to big that up. But I don't think it has the kudos, and it doesn't.
I'd agree.
It doesn't carry the same weight. That's my view. Anyway, I don't know what you think, Des.
Well, for what it's worth, I totally agree with Pete there. Whether it was a main event or not, I don't think this guy would have been remembered next year, just due to the fact that it was online and da-da-da. And I suspect whoever wins in December won't be remembered next year either. Poker is a very, very tight community. And, I think until the next person picks up his gong in Vegas on day 7 or day 8 of the main event, there won't be another sort of champ as far as the wider community is concerned. Speaking of which, we have the lovely Di Farrell in the chat box. Now, Lee, I think Di is in Georgia, right? The wonderful U.S. state of Georgia. And I don't know if you
are you going to do this again? Are you really going to do this?
I don't know. No, I'm not. I'm certainly not going to make a joke about Georgia. I love the place. I've been to Georgia many, many times. In fact, I cast 27 ballots for Joe Biden in Georgia just a couple of weeks ago. Beautiful place.
Excellent.
So Di is in the chat box. She says a message for Graham. Graham's probably quite nervous considering the story that he said a little earlier. But actually, it's a really nice message. Have you mastered the art of taking photos on your iPad? Thinking in particular when him, Pete, and myself met Phil Hellmuth and posed for that photo moment. That sounds pretty cool.
Well, the fact is that Pete actually went up to Phil and asked him and Di asked for a photograph, and he told him to clear off more or less. And Pete came and told me. I said, "Really?" I said, "I'll sort it out for you." And I went up and said to Phil, "Look, they're friends of mine, Yeah, okay, great. Come over and so I was trying to take a photo, but I landed up taking a video instead. so Di, she's a lovely lady, we had a great time there as well, But Pete had his mouth open, so you know Phil that well, yeah. So it was like and Di was surprised as well, I think. But I met a lot of people, it's like Sir Clive, what's his name? I played cards against him.
Sir Clive Sinclair.
He
played against
okay.
John McCririck.
Yeah, John McCririck. Yeah, well,
Barry Hearn.
Barry Erling, yeah.
And the guy off The Office, didn't he? The accountant.
Oh yeah, the accountant there. I said to him actually, I said, look, you want to take up professional poker, I said, and I'll do the comedy because you ain't said much.
So Graham was actually on 2 TV shows. I don't think it was Late Night Poker, but it was something.
It was
similar.
Match Play with Barry Erling stuff. It was.
Yeah, Match Play, and he was on two episodes of that. I've tried to look on YouTube, but I can't seem to find anything.
I finished third both times, but my nephew watched it and he said, no, he said, it was 3 times. I said, Keith, one of them was a replay.
So Graham, tell me, how did you get your nickname?
Well, I used to work on the buses years ago when I used to do tips on the horses, and I used to call myself the Great Wizard. And anyway, I had a bad period, and they crossed the great out, and it was just the Wizard. And then it was going so bad they crossed the out, so I was just Wizard. And then it was really bad, and it was just whiz up there in the end. So it shows you, don't take no notice of my tips. But yeah, that's how I got it. It was like I've always been known as a wizard, and in fact, the bandit, he always calls me Wiz anyway. So you know, and
I just wasn't sure whether it was some sort of kind of Lord of the Rings kind of comment, but it didn't make a lot of sense, because I kind of thought, well, you said you're very patient and you don't play many cards, so you fold a lot, so therefore the whole kind of, you shall not pass doesn't make a lot of sense, does it really?
Well, yeah, they hadn't invented that kind of Lord of the Winds when I kind of got the nickname and that. But I've been called a lot of other names, over the years.
Yeah,
mainly swear words, but I mean, it's like.
I think one of the funniest things I've experienced in my history with Graham was he was playing up at Luton in a summer series, a £500 summer series. There were a final table with 3 black belt players on there. I think Kevin Williams, another guy, and Sam Razavi, I think, as well. And they Graham was the short stack, and they phoned up Neil Channing, who was obviously the team boss kind of thing. And they said to him, well, who else is on the table? And he said, oh, Graham Pound. He goes, what, the Wizard? And needless to say, Graham went on to win that tournament, didn't you?
Yeah.
And absolutely, took these guys apart, these black belt guys.
Neil said to me, he said, I told him to be careful of you. You was the one danger man, he said. So, yeah, they did find out in the end. But I just said, they were just young whippersnappers, really.
Yeah. But I mean, as I say, the reason I agreed to come on the show again and chat with Graham was really, I think, our relationship and the fact that he's mentored me for 13 years is quite unique. Obviously, there are other people that do stuff like that. And, Blue Blood was born out of the fact that Graham spent a lot of time and with me to train me and help me. So I wanted to help other people. But really, Graham's just an outstanding player. I don't say that lightly at all. He's a different class, and he played an EPT in London, and he was really upset about that when he got knocked out. But Paradise Poker was sponsoring us at the time, and he had a real chance of winning that, and he lost set over set, and it didn't go well, did it?
Well, my upset was when I jumped on the train in London to go back to Reading. It stopped at Reading Station, and I stayed on the train and kept going back to my hometown, and I stayed there for 2 weeks. They very rarely use a computer there or anything like that. And my Ellen, my partner, she kind of knew where I was, and she told Pete, and Pete had come and get me, actually. And he came down, and he said, what are you going to do?
Let's drive to Ludlow.
yeah, I said, I'll go back home with you then. But that was, that was me. I just needed to clear my head and that,
Yeah, no, it makes
'Cause
sense.
I don't talk about bad beats and stuff like that. It all goes on in my head because what's the point? I just analyse my game and stuff. Over the years, I've mentored a few people, but they get to a certain stage and they tend to think that they're the world's best. And I haven't even got to the last page of my book to tell them, and then they find that maybe they should have stuck it a bit longer before, and they've all fell by the wayside, but Pete stuck with it. So I'm still having to kind of bully him a bit to play right. He tends to want to play his style, which is not my style,
But it's interesting though. Poker's it can be the most friendliest of games, and also it can be the most loneliest at times when when you've gone deep in a tournament and you can spend a lot of time kind of analyzing, should I've done this, should I have done that. I think if you've got a support network around you, that could just be one person, or it could be a small group, or it could be something as big as, like, I guess the Blue Blood or the Black Country Poker Club or whatever you've got there, where you've got a network of people that you can talk to about hands. Otherwise, it can be quite depressing. First time I ever went to Vegas, and I remember busting the first tournament in the Rio, and you sat in one of the corridors whilst everyone was playing, and all you hear is this riffling of chips all around you, echoing around the empty corridors whilst everyone else is playing, and you sit there and you do kind of think, what, you traveled halfway around the world and this is all going, it's all gone wrong. It's not what you expected it to be. And the reality of it is that a lot of the times you don't win at poker, or you don't run deep in tournaments. That's just inevitably what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the thing that I always say to Pete, and as I say, do you need to do this? Do you need to play this way? Do you need to do that?
Do I need to play a hand?
Mostly there's loads of little words that I use all along the line, which is kind of brought Pete on. He understands. And of course, we all have bad beats and stuff. And usually Pete's all gets a little bit up emotional sometimes. But if we talk it out, he understands, because I always show him a different way to play a hand. He could have done this, he could have done that. Whereas a lot of players get tunnel vision. Oh, I'm going to stick it all in with ace king. I'm going to stick it all in with aces. I don't play like that. I play according to how it is, how I feel, what I'm seeing on the table. It's not a set load of rules that I play to. I never have done. I just want to play different and mix it up a bit, That's
well,
it.
I suppose it's about this time we should come clean, Des, to say that you've been mentoring me for 14 years now.
about that, Lee. And to be honest, I obviously came in to mentor you after your Sky success. And yes,
and that's why I don't play anymore, basically. Yeah.
But I'm really pleased that you gave me £80,000 of your winnings.
Yeah.
You've gained a lot of knowledge, Des.
I tell you what I have gained. Listen, because I'm not much of a poker player, but what I have gained over the years from being involved right at the start of APAT is a lot of friends. And we're all involved in communities, right? And APAT's our common one tonight. But I've gained a lot of friends through APAT, and the beautiful thing is we're all massively different, right? We all have different interests outside of poker, but it's a string that sort of,
just got a hand here. Aces versus
that's
King
a big
5.
hand. Look at that. Diamonds.
Chasing diamonds. Misses the diamond. So Joshua gets his double up again.
Wow.
And is going to bust. He's going to bust Tom Bacon in Thursday. We are heads up.
That's how I thought it might go. That's how I thought it might go.
Well, Shirley's got a nice chip lead. She's got 3 to 1.
So Shirley's got a nice chip lead here now, guys. So how would you see this?
It can still change. It can still change. And I agree with you 100% on the fact that there's loads of nice guys at APAT, and I met them live, and I love to play them tournaments,
Tell me, Graham, you're a Reading man. Do you know Linda Iwaniak and her late husband Richard Iwaniak? I don't know. Linda's a mad poker player, loves the game. Must have played a lot around Reading, I'd have thought, over the years.
I probably
don't. No, I don't think you have played against her.
Yeah, I might play against her.
Lynn Beaumont.
Yeah.
Lynn Beaumont.
Good friend of Lynn's.
You see, I don't do a lot of chat, to be honest. I do anyway, but I don't do a lot of chat and that. And I'm in that poker mode. You know what I mean? It's only like if Marty was there or Pete or somebody like that or Dave or something, I talk to them. And I mean, the guy that I really like is Joe Beavers. He's a fantastic guy. He's always, you know, plain speaking. He dresses smart. And there's a load of scruffy poker players about these days, as you know. But Joe, he was always known as
the Elegant,
Mr.
right?
Elegant. Mr. Elegant, yeah,
that's right.
And he's a fantastic player, obviously.
What I loved about the episode of the Orbit we've just done was Ellie doing that little his little thing about hoods up and sunglasses on, and
I agree.
That little snippet that we did for the teaser. I mean, he goes into a lot more discussion either side of that particular snippet that we put in there, but it was just a perfect kind of, you know, when you've got an old school player there that's played high stakes poker and but so passionate, and that's what I would say about that show that we've just done, is those 4 guys on that show talked so passionately about the game, and it wasn't just it's, you know, I earn money out of it, it's great. No, they really care about it, and it was interesting to see.
I'm looking forward to that one coming out. Yeah.
You're a big Phil Hellmuth fan, yeah, Pete?
Yeah.
Why? What's?
I just think I like the fact that he's very self-confident. He's a bit, you know, he's a bit of a poker brat, and he's, you know, a big head and stuff like that. But his reading skills and the way that he plays his poker compared to other players, it is, you know, poker by choice, not by chance. And that's
my saying.
Yeah, that is my saying. But it's true. He will read a situation, and he might make a fold. It might be wrong. But as Graham always said, this is another one of his sayings: if you fold and you get it wrong, you still got your chips. And you know, Phil Hellmuth is a world champion and won that many bracelets because he makes mostly the right decisions.
Yeah.
So
it's a great reader.
He's a great player. And I mean, there's a couple of people that I aspire to is, you know, professional poker players. I like Espiandari for starters, the magician. But Johnny Chan for me is like the guy that I sort of think is the best poker player as well. I really, really like the way that he plays. And there's a hand that he plays against Huck Seed, and you can look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, brilliant.
And he's got aces, and he got a read off Huck Seed that Huck Seed hit the flop massively, and he didn't put another penny into the pot with aces. Now, how many players can do that? If you look it up on YouTube and watch it, it's just phenomenal. And that's the difference between a quality player and just, you know, somebody who gets the chips in and chances it. And
well, you say that, Pete, but I saw Tom Clark post up the other week. He folded aces in an APAT game. So I mean,
he folded kings, and it was against.
Oh, was it king? Was it kings?
Steve Healer. I've got to say, I was quite surprised at that. But the funny thing is, playing in the squads for the last 30 weeks. My notes on players have changed dramatically. I had a conversation with Paul Haycott again today, and I said to him about Brendan Byrne, and I said the guy's been around the block, but he's an aggro player, and I said, but he gets results, and he's been around the block. Scouse, you know, when I played against Scouse live in Abingdon, the first time I played against him, I would have classed him as an absolute donk and an awful player, but his live performances recently have been good, and his online performances, he had a run, you probably remember, where he went back-to-back wins in the squads, and that's no mean feat. We were getting 100. He
said, no, Scouse said to me his live performances since lockdown have been the best ever. He said it's been really, really good. Yeah.
He hasn't been losing chips.
I've been.
He said his ROI is as good as it's ever been. It really is.
I've been writing a book for about 20 years now. I don't know.
Do you know what, Graham? I was just about to ask. I had it as a next question to ask when we got to a bit of a lull. To say, Graham, everything I'm hearing about you. Oh, Graham says this. Graham says that. That's his phrase. How have you not written a book, my friend?
Yeah, I know. I've been writing it, and I let Pete read it, you know, and as far as I got.
Oh, the ring.
I had
King 10 against Queen 7. 7. That's going to do it.
No, the 10.
Oh, the 10. We've got the 10. Wow.
Flush.
And the spades as well.
Double up for Joshua. So go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I gave it to Pete ages ago, and he read it and that, and he was playing good. And then all of a sudden he went and saying, I said to him, "You want to read the bloody book again the way you're playing, you know?"
Yeah.
So.
Well, what was it, Graham? Is it a full-on strategy
Well, no,
book, or do you tell a bit of a story about your game and how you?
I tell people how to play properly, right? And I give them these different terms and different options, and I give them strategies and stuff like that. And I give them background about how I played and different stories about, me playing whist and all that according to oil and all this stuff. And different stuff. I got a lovely poem in there, I'll tell you, from when I played a tournament in the Victoria Club in London about 2004, and I got all the names, the nicknames of all the players and stuff.
Oh, well, don't give us too much, because you need to get this book. How are you? You need to get this book out there. How are you going to do this?
Well, I got pages and pages of typewritten words and that, and
little anecdotes and stories.
Yeah, I got loads of different stuff in there.
Yeah, the main focus of it is preparation for a deep stack live tournament.
Yeah,
really.
it's mainly hour clock that I teach Pete about. It's got to be a minimum of an hour clock.
Well, 40 minutes to an hour.
Well, it's an hour really. I like at least an hour, and that's a strategy that I teach him. Not the 10-minute clocks and all that lot and online stuff. Because I only play, as I said, for entertainment, and the APAT is anybody listening now should be playing APAT to learn how to play this game properly. But as I say, it's like a long period that you develop different stuff and you meet different people and that's what my book, if I ever get it done or published or whatever, I just do it. I have a couple of months off, and then I do a bit, and then Pete goes and does something, so I got to change it all. You know what I mean? And it's like different stuff that you win this or you win that, and it's a story.
Pete, have you negotiated naming rights yet? Have you got a cut of this yet?
I've dropped a few names in there, and I mention people like Stu Unger and stuff like that because they're all great players who are no longer with us, and these guys could have been even greater, but they never had the opportunity. You know what I mean? It's sad in places. And of course, now we've got Dave that's added to the list and stuff like that. But
Mike Sexton,
and now it's Mike. I couldn't believe it when Pete said he passed away. I was so shocked because he always looked fit and everything. You know what I mean? So
it's funny how the players seem to. Yeah, you seem to. We use players, and it is the names. It is the people that bring. I only had the fortune of playing on a table with Devilfish once. But it's the sort of thing, these things stick with you, don't they? Of when you kind of experience that, and it's the people you've seen on the TV.
You mentioned Devilfish again, which I got to tell you this little story. I was up at Luton, and we were I was trying to get in the money, and I was close, but I was low on chips, and Devilfish was on the table bullying everybody as he does, and everybody was scared to take him on because he had loads and loads of chips. And he was on the big blind, and his meal turned up, right? And he was talking to the waitress and that. So I was kind of hijacked, somewhat like that. So I shoved all in on a load of rubbish, right? And I thought, he ain't going to. So he quickly looked at his hand because nobody called in between in case he rammed it, which he was likely to do. He quickly looked at his two cards, chucked them in because he was more interested in the meal. Yes, got me in the money.
and your claim to fame as well was you stole Phil Ivy's blinds, didn't you, in one of the tournaments?
Oh yeah, well, I was up in London playing a tournament. I was getting rubbish cards and that, and then Phil Ivy was on the table, and I thought, right, I better pick on you because you won't expect me because I hadn't played a hand for ages. So I done my usual and raised his blinds. He thought about it and folded. I thought, well, I've got one success for today. So that was it, yeah. But some people say to me, "What's the best tournament you ever won?" and all that. And I usually say, Friday night at the Sergeant Yorkie at Queen's Road in Reading, they have a £5 rebuy tournament, right? And I won that, right? I won it, and I got £2,000. Do you know they used to sit round a five-seater table, and there were seven of us round it, right? And after the first hand, you'd have 6 people shout, "Life!" Honestly, the rebuys was phenomenal, and fantastic money, you know. It really was. But I'll tell you, it took some winning, that did, because they was all in every bloody hand, like, you know. So
the other interesting thing as well, you know, going back to the start of the show, was when me and Graham first met, everything was, you know, pot limit. You try and find a pot limit hold'em tournament these days, and it's you know.
Does anybody run those? I mean, when you mentioned it, I thought, wow, that just doesn't happen anymore, does it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that brought me to. We've mentioned it before. That's the one thing that brought me to APAT is the, you know, the mixed games and the fact that you bring in so many different varieties of poker, whereas, you know, other companies and other, you know, organizations just look at the money and they just want to do something that's just going to
speed it up.
Yeah, just bring them a revenue. So, you know, I think, as I say, I think every time I've been on the APAT show, I've bigged you guys up. But that's what attracted me, and that's why I brought Graham into playing the squads into our team.
It's all over. It's all over. King 10 for Joshua, and it was kings for Shirley. King on the flop, and it was slowly played, actually, very well played by Shirley, because I think she hid a hand pretty well.
Yeah.
Joshua thought his King 10 was good. It was a small, He's raised it on the flop, and Shirley just flattered it at that point.
Yeah, he hung him.
Ace, basically the ace on the turn should have slowed him down, but it didn't. He looked to shove, I think, then repping the ace, but Shirley had the kings, and that is that. So Shirley Cole is our roller champion.
Awesome.
He's going to get the gold medal.
But Joshua done extremely well to get where he got from the chips he had.
He's superb.
Yeah, he played really well.
Yeah.
But well done, Shirley, you know.
Well done, Shirley. Listen, guys, we were talking about poker books. I just wanted to briefly mention, because you mentioned Scouse a short while ago, Pete. I don't know if you know this, but Scouse has been working on a poker book for a very long time as well. And he's got a poem in his poker book, right, about a poker tournament he played in Nantucket. Go figure.
Nantucket.
Nantucket.
There was a film about Nantucket. John Wayne was in it. Yeah.
I tell you what, I recognize the name from something. That's a great name. I love it.
John Wayne, a cowboy, and she had a horse called Blackie, and he killed the horse riding it to get her to. She got bit by a snake or something, and he had her.
What's your favourite film? Remember that Spanish Mexican one, The Gringo?
Oh yeah, get the Gringo. That's a good one.
That's a must-watch film.
I like that.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, brilliant. And of course, after meeting Pete, I like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Which one is he, Graham? Which one is he?
I'll leave you to work that out. It's definitely ain't the good.
Fantastic.
So guys, we are moving from one bit of excitement to the next. I can confirm that, and Graham already knew this was coming. He got overtaken by Stephen Healy for the MVP. Well, as I did predict, Stephen Healy got overtaken by Eddie Niaksu, and that's a done deal. MVP is over.
Yeah,
well done, Eddie. Well done.
Eddie has picked it up. Yeah. But here is the story. We are 5 players left in the squads. And Des predicted this might happen. I said what the possibility here was. Dean Pearson from Eat My Stack needs to win this tournament to win the week and go above Celtic Storm.
Yeah.
He's chip leader, guys. 5 out.
4.2 million chips. Look at that.
Well, he's only got double what Dylan Herbert's got, so Dylan's got a chance. Tom Bacon's been busy. He's been in the roller final table and
finished. So Tom finished 3rd in the roller and is now in the final 5 of squads tonight. So superb effort from him.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas is the low stack, and I'm always on the side of the underdog, always.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can do something.
Yeah. Going back to this is quite an interesting story as well. Well, we've got ace-8 against jacks, and he's at a set of jacks. So,
King can make it one night.
Yeah, that's damaged. That's damaged Dean a little bit. He's lost half his stack. Yeah, I played a tournament once with Graham up at Luton, and Willie Tan, who you'll know quite well, was there. And when I got knocked out, we were far from the money. And Graham's a really, really good grinder, and he's pulled out some amazing performances. We've got another all in, 7s against King 10, and it looks like 7s are holding. So Thomas has doubled up, and he's become a contender. But anyway, so we're playing this tournament up at Luton that both me and Graham played out of our funds, and I got knocked out. And when I got knocked out, I think I had about 40,000 chips. And about 3 hours later, Graham was still in the tournament with about 3 players to go to get into the money, and he had the same amount of chips as I had when I got knocked out. And he grinded his way into the money. But the interesting thing about it was, because I was learning at the time, and a lot of casinos might not allow this, but I actually stood behind him and he lifted his cards so that I could see his cards and see how he played them. And he was on the small blind and big blind with Willie Tan, and totally outplayed him. Every time Willie tried to bully him, which he does quite a lot, Graham, he played into Graham's hands, and Graham, literally, I don't think you got further than a min cash, did you? But it was just
Can't remember. I've had so many min cashes.
Yeah, he just.
Listen to you both, eh? Yeah.
No, that's another reason why we call him the Wizard, because some of his performances are just phenomenal. And you mentioned Di earlier, and Di's seen that firsthand. And when he was part of Blue Blood, we did a lot of group training sessions, and Graham was, a lot of part of that, helping other people and teaching them how to play hands optimally, and just preservation of chips, really.
Di asked a question whether was it true that Graham used to own a toy shop?
Yeah, I'll leave that one.
Yeah, I said to Pete,
slippery that.
Yeah, I did. Look, listen, Pete used to come into my shop just to see me.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
He had a place just down the road. He was doing some kind of printing or something.
No,
Marketing, okay. And he came in my shop, and every time he came in my shop, he'd see me up at the counter.
Sorry, Graham, can I just stop you? When you say he came in your shop, just be careful with your words.
That he used to walk through the door of my shop, right? And on the counter, I had the racing post every time, right? And he'd say, "What you doing then?" I say, "Well, I got something good in the 230, right?" And some of my customers used to say to me, "How does this work?" I said, "Well, read the instructions." I don't know. Anyway, they used to say to me about a film. They'd say, "Is this film?" I'd say, "I don't know what's in it." And they'd say, "You don't know what's in it?" I said, "Unless Clint Eastwood's in it, I wouldn't know, because I used to watch it." And they'd say, "Is he in it?" I'd say, "God, do me a favour."
Graham actually bought that shop from your winnings at poker, didn't you?
Yeah. So
set up your business.
But yeah, it was like I was selling cabbages or cauliflowers. It didn't mean nothing to me, because in fact, Ellen, my partner, she knew more about the business than I did, really, because I was into the racing post and that, So
anyway, so why would Pete frequent this shop so regularly?
Because he was learning about poker.
Oh, right.
I told you, choose your words carefully.
I was going to say, so it was all about poker for Pete. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Well, I did get a special discount on lubes.
Yeah. In fact, to be honest, I left him in the shop because there weren't many customers, and none of them wore brown Macs or anything like that. That was a fallacy. That was. But Pete, I
talk about fallacies.
I used to say
fallacy.
I used to say to Pete, I said, look after the shop. I'm just going out. He goes, "What happens?" He goes, "I don't know what to do." I said, "Just do anything. It don't matter. Just sell them something and give them a discount. I'd pay £5 for a doll or something, and I'd sell it for 80 quid. You know what I mean?" So I didn't care what he did. You know what I mean? So I used to say to some guys, "Listen, that only takes £250 of pressure. You better not have that, like a built like John Haystack." You know what I mean? I said, "There's no guarantee." You know what I mean? But yeah, it was fun. It was fun, and it was business. That's what it was, you know. Because
well, Di, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely.
Do keep on coming. If you've got anything else you want to know.
I already knew that. The last thing
I was going to say, I've got a funny feeling Di might have already known the answer.
Set me up, I think.
Yeah.
She's a lovely lady, and of course, I always treated her as such, you know.
Quite right.
Yeah, it's Di's been super supportive of the APAT games during lockdown as well.
Well, I was heads up with her once.
I keep trying to get her on the show.
Yeah.
I keep asking, and I will keep asking because it'd be great to have Di on the show.
Yeah, I think Di on the show would be awesome.
Yeah, she'll tell you she knocked me out in one of the APAT. Heads up, we were when I first started playing it. Yeah, but yeah, she's a good player. She knows her stuff.
You keep buzzing her, Lee. Get her on the blower.
Yeah,
Will do.
And
we've got three. Yeah, we've only got three more before Christmas. Then we will be taking a break for a week in between Christmas and New Year. As
what? You're taking a break?
We'll be.
This is the break. This is the break.
Yeah, we'll
you've got Tom Banks on again, haven't you?
We have Tom Banks is on in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. So we've got one show next week. Then we've got the Tom Banks show, and then the show on the 20th, which I think will be. We'll do a bit of a kind of a roundup of the year, I think, whilst keeping an eye on what's going on in the tournaments, obviously. But yeah. But don't forget, for anyone who's just might be tuning and missed out, big announcement earlier on. From this Tuesday, we're starting a beautiful Advent calendar promotion with our 7 p.m. tournaments. So we'll post up about it.
Ask you a question on that.
Of course you can.
Did you? Because obviously, if you win the $11 tournament, the 7 p.m. one, you get a $33 ticket. Most people are aware of that. So, did you say the prizes that we're getting are in conjunction with Party Poker? Say that they replace that.
Yeah. So we'll stop the current added value for the community, and it will be these prizes. So we've got £1,500 worth of gifts that we're giving away.
Yeah.
In between the 1st and the 24th, so that will replace the $33 tickets.
And so, what will people? If people, let's say somebody wins the Tuesday heads up tournament, how will they? Yeah. What will they find out then? It's just like you're not spinning a wheel or anything like that.
No. It's basically we'll announce once. So what we've agreed, what Glenn and I have agreed is we're gonna wait until registration closes, and then we'll announce in the social media channels what the prize is for the night once registration's closed.
Yeah.
And let you know what that prize is for the night, and then if you claim it, you claim it. We will give everything away because we know there will be some tournaments where somebody might not claim the prize. It could be won by somebody that isn't in the groups or whatever, so wouldn't claim it. We are going to have we've got a beautifully titled final tournament, which is going to be called Empty the Sack.
Graham knows about
that. So we will be making sure we do give everything away. But as I say, we've got a couple of Apple HomePod minis. We've got a couple of Monster headphones. I think there's 3 Beats Flex headphones. There's a Beats Pill speaker. There's 3 lots of Hotel Chocolat Christmas boxes. There's 5 lots of 50 quids. There's a month's worth of Poker Squads, a month's worth of Sunday Roller, entry into all. There's one of the prizes, entry into all of the Dusk Till Dawn Christmas schedule, which is like 6 or 7 days worth of tournament.
Yeah.
That's one prize.
Well, a month's squad's $150, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all of those up for grabs. We've got poker books. We've got the we've got a set of poker, which is both of the Robert Needham books. So this is where you call. This is where you folder in there. Both of the Dokes and Barry Carter strategy books. So the satellite one and the PKO one, that's in there. And there's another book in there as well. I can't remember what it is. So there's a bundle of books. That's like 60 quid's worth. Those books alone. So yeah, loads of prizes. We'll randomly pick one up each day, but we will eventually give them all away. But as I said earlier on, the most exciting thing for me is one of the prizes each week will be to come on the APAT show on the following Sunday and play a live heads-up game, which we'll talk about. We might even get you on the call as well if we can. Yeah. And you'll be up against a mystery player. If you beat that player, you'll win 50 quid in cash.
Yeah. So is that likely to be a party poker player or someone like Glenn or?
Who knows? We haven't decided yet who we're gonna get in. I mean, I haven't had the conversation with Des. I was going to get Des, to be honest, to do it. So
I'm highly skilled, gents. I have to say.
Yeah, I was thinking, to be honest, I fancy like saving the budget, so I was going to bring our real serious players in for this. But we'll see who we can get, who fancies being our mystery player. But it's all a bit of fun, but it's all about giving back to the community, which is why we're doing it through the Facebook group and the Twitter stream. So it'll be the APAT accounts and also the Dust Till Dawn accounts that Glenn looks after as well. Yeah. So it'll be a combination of the two communities. We'll be get to play these.
Okay, well, that sounds quite interesting. That sounds quite exciting for the run up to Christmas. Have you got any plans for the new year for the online stuff? Because I'm assuming that the new year we're still going to be in this kind of situation, even with the fact.
Yeah, we are. We are pretty much. So the plan is, I mean, to answer a question that somebody asked on Facebook earlier on, which was, is squad stopping or anything? We're not planning on pulling any of our schedule between Christmas and New Year. That will all run. I think we may well give the leaderboards a break for a week, perhaps, so they can put their feet up for a week, which is basically me. So we might just, but they will all still run, so you can all still play those if you want to. And then obviously the Dust Till Dawn have got their great tournaments, the Christmas Cup and the other things that they've got going on between Christmas and New Year. And then in the new year, we are going to start building up to an online Worlds.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you something. Just talking to you, Lee and Des today, it's nice to talk to somebody who's knowledgeable on poker and actually people. You actually talk to people. You're not, you know what I mean? You're not a politician swerving the question or the answer or whatever. It's a fantastic show, this is, and people should be listening to this and they might learn something, especially from Pete.
Well, I'll tell you what, Graham, we have learnt one or two things from Pete over the last few months when we've had Pete on the show. I personally have these things. It's been great. I mean, say Pete's one of the people that definitely has talked to the game. We've also had the likes, some great amateur players, the likes of Gareth Howard's been on the show and talked very well about the game. We had Jay Leon earlier on in
Adam Owen.
Season 1. Adam Owen talking about it. These guys coming on and talking about the game. You pick up little things that you'd never really even thought of. I've been playing the game 14 years now, and there's things which kind of go, I'd never even thought about that. This thing about this, I am absolutely into this thing where you're three-handed and you're the chip leader and not going after the short stack and like the understanding the kind of the complexity of how that works. And I'd never really even given it much of a thought. It was always a case of bust the short stack and ladder up. Yeah. That was the kind of the thing. And you realize there's actually so much more to it, isn't there?
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of different strategies, and it's interesting to bring different people in. Like, Jay, the online player, was really quite insightful, that was, and obviously Adam's sort of stint was really good. I really enjoyed Matthew Pitt coming on as well, because I thought that was interesting, and even Glenn Townsend coming on, and like you said, Tony Trippier, when he was on, that was probably one of the most entertaining nights as well, and Joe Chilmaid. So you've had some really good sort of people on the show.
I'll tell you what, people,
to be honest, a Saturday night with Joe and Laura.
Classic.
If you ever want to go, actually, did we get to put that one back up? I'm assuming we changed the rating on that. Did we, Des, for that show?
No, that's still over 18. I'm afraid, Lee. You got to be able to provide a bank card to watch that one.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
People ask me from time to time, Des, who was your favourite? Who was your favourite interview over the month? And I constantly go back to the Andy Black night. It was short. It was necessarily short, but it certainly was a highlight. Lee, would you agree? Andy, how are you doing? It's really nice to have you on. I'm playing. I'm on the stars. We're doing the scoop. The 70 grand up top. Shall I call you back another time, Andy? Yeah, let's do that. It was really short.
Well, did you,
but it was passionate.
Des, do you know Did he mention that he won that tournament? Did he
Well,
mention that?
the funny thing is, right at the end of it, I said, listen, Andy, don't worry about it. Forget the fact that I spent 3 hours prepping this earlier on today. You just crack on with your tourney. But APAT are in for 20%, right? I said it as a joke, of course. And then I got this text message because, you're fast asleep in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. And my phone went bling and a light came on. I thought they were the Koreans were attacking us. But a light came on and I checked it because you have to, right? You have to check it because maybe somebody's dead, right? I checked it and it was Andy Black and he said, I won that old tournament, Cove, 70 grand up top. There was no mention of the 20%. What?
What? 14 grand?
There was no mention. So, listen, he called me up a couple of days later. How did this go? Yeah, he called me up a couple of days later. I'm sat there doing a bit, and my phone rings and I see it says Andy Black. So I pick it up anyway and I say, hey, Andy, we have to organise this thing. He went, yeah, I was calling you about that. Let's, we got to organise time and I want to talk about this and this. So I'm talking to him for about 4 minutes. And he says to me, is there any chance you could pull that phone out of your ear? I'm on video. Oh dear. He hasn't. We haven't been able to make touch with him.
But that was a good
since.
night. The Andy Black night was a good night because obviously we
Fantastic
had
night.
what I still think is possibly our best interview to get of season one.
Oh, yeah.
But not everybody knew who the person was. Do you know what I mean? He was
amazing.
It's difficult
Patrick
because
Nally.
to us we were so to us we were so chuffed to get him to do it. This guy to do an interview with us, but a lot of people wouldn't have known who he was. But he obviously was the guy that kind of invented the whole sports kind of advertising, marketing, thing. And it's difficult to kind of. We were genuinely, weren't we, Des? We were absolutely like buzzing that we'd got this guy to do this interview with us, and it was such a great hour to talk to the guy.
It's a
That
very
was the guy
deep
that
interview.
worked on the Olympics, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he effectively turned the Olympics into what we know it is today because he was the guy who created the money-making machine underneath it, did the same for the World Cup, and did the same for pretty much every other sport. And, just as an ad hoc, he mentioned towards the end of the night that he managed Alex Higgins for a period of time. There was just so much gold there. And the chances are, Lee, because I did a lot of research on him before we brought him on, and I've known him for quite a few years, but I'd never gone into that level of detail with him. But I wasn't able to find anything anywhere near as depth in terms of an interview with him anywhere else online. I suspect we've probably produced a 1 hour of audio there that is as good a reflection on that man's career to date as anything that's been done on him previously, which is astounding, really.
But he's just gone quietly under the radar doing all this ridiculous stuff. I mean, properly leaving. When you talk about people leaving a legacy, in their lifetime, that is one hell of a legacy that guy left.
I brought Sepp Blatter into FIFA. That sort of level of stuff.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, just the the list of things is just.
And this is the most serious man that you can come across. There's absolutely no blarney in him. You just know that everything that he was saying was absolutely true. Lots of, kudos for this man across the sports marketing world. So that was a great night. Love that.
Yeah, really, really good. So we're four-handed here for anyone that's just tuning in. This is the end of Poker Squad's game week 34. And the MVP is all decided. But Dean Pearson, Eat My Stack, currently second in chips, needs to win this tournament to, as he wins that pot, 5 versus ace-8, needs to win this tournament to get the win for the week. And his team will overtake Celtic Storm. The Celtic Storm guys can do no more other than watch this play out.
Yeah, I mean, he's second in.
That's what we're watching.
He's second in chips. That's a bit of a bad hand, though.
He's hit the ace.
He's got lucky. He's got lucky.
Wow.
Though.
Hit the 8, and he's done him.
Wow.
So
And Tom Bacon departs in fourth. So Dean's now up just short of John McManus's stack. This is going to be interesting now, three-handed.
Lee, I don't know if you noticed, I had a little look in the new members folder today, as you do from time to time with the group, and
we've got a new members folder. Do we?
Yeah,
do we? Is it like
well,
a little?
do
we have a little profile on everyone?
It's tricky to try and keep out, obvious spam, members, people, whatever. We ask a little question, right? We ask a little question. You got to answer the question. If you answer the question, then you're going to get approved. It's as simple as that.
Is it the what's Tom Brady's middle name? Is that the one? Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something really smart to answer there, but I just can't in the moment. But I noted one name, and the answer to the question was, because my son now plays APAT or is playing APAT tournaments. It was something like that. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And it's, is it Matt Ogilvy's dad? Matt Ogilvy? Who's had a lot of success with us over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, so Matt from
his
Canada.
dad,
Matt from Canada.
His dad from Canada had joined the group because, Matt's doing well. And I thought that was fantastic.
Ooh.
That's really good.
Awesome. That's really nice. Yeah.
John McMahon.
So John's
dealing out.
Yeah.
To that ace.
And this is it. We are heads up.
Yeah.
Dean knows exactly what he needs to do here.
Ace from space.
Well, I tell you what, there was 13 left, I think, when we had the discussion about Dean needing to win this thing. And you got to give the lad kudos. Here he is, heads up, right?
Like kudos.
Now we've watched we've watched one of Dean's teammates. Now Tim Magnus has done this before. Des on a Sunday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you remember,
Yeah.
Tim needing to win the tournament to see it. Shug's done it, I think. If I'm right, I think
we've
Shug's
seen
done it
a
on the Sunday
few
night
players
needing to win.
do it. No guarantees, of course, but you can only get to this point, right? Thereafter.
And to be fair, we should point out here that this isn't a case of it all just the points are extra on a Sunday night or anything like that.
No.
The points are the same for every night of the week. The number of runners tonight is 111. It's a little bit higher than maybe it has in some of the tournaments earlier on in the week, but ultimately it doesn't make a massive difference. So for it to come down this and a player knowing, 2 or 3 tables out, right, I need to win this to win the whole thing and then go on and do it. It's no small feat.
Yeah.
No, to get through a field of 110 players, that's impressive in itself.
Well, particularly when the players on the whole are pretty experienced and they're also wise to using the information on you against you, right? So if a player knows Dean has to win this tourney, they're going to use that against him, right?
That was the question I was going to ask, Des. Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. I was going to ask Graham and Pete and say, when you've got a target, you've got a target that you need to achieve, and that ultimately has also put a target on your back.
Yeah.
Does that change the way you play?
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, on a Sunday night, well, even we start as early as a Friday. If we know that Celtic Storm are doing well and we see that they're on our table, you definitely target those players because you're thinking, well, if we can, knock those out, reduce their points and increase ours, that's definitely something that you do. It's part of the strategy of the squads.
Well, I don't. I just play the same as I always play, because I'm an old fella now. And
but Graham, you don't do the whole social media thing and all that kind of thing, and so
well, I mean, Pete's into all that, I mean, look, I know about computers and stuff like that, and Pete's like trying to get a mobile phone to work. Pete's good at that. I'm no good at that, but computers I'm okay on. But at the end of the day, I'm too old you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but what I do works. So why should I change it? It works. So
do you don't pay much attention to who's on what team or what's going on? You just play to go as far as you can in the tournament and see what points that gets you at the end of the week.
As I said earlier, Pete told me today that I was in line for this MVP thing, whatever it is. And I didn't know anything about that until he told me today. I don't take any notice,
Well, you know about the team.
Yeah. I know the team strategy and all that lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I had Daniel, one of our team, on my table today, and he put all his chips in. I put all my chips in. We both.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Wow.
Well, tell us what's happened. Some of us have missed it.
Well, the main guy, John McManus, had ace-6, and
Ace Jack of
Dean had ace-jack of hearts, and obviously 70-30 pre-flop, but it all went in pre-flop, and he hit a 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
No, it didn't actually all go in pre. It actually Dean made the final shove on the turn, and it hit a 6 on the turn. And the ace on the river didn't matter. The chips were already in at that point, so it ended up being 2 pair.
Fair enough. I didn't see that
for John. Yeah. Ended up being 2 pair for John, and unfortunately, that means Dean finishes in second place. But well done to John picking up $136. Dean, who picks up $97.
Does that mean
Dylan
that they didn't
finished third
overhaul Celtic Storm then?
in 69. So we can finish off where we're at now for the week. As I mentioned earlier on, Eddie Niaxu from the Chip Hustlers ends up being MVP for the week. The Adelaide Bulls, Stephen Healy, finished in second place, and Graham doesn't know anything about it, but he finished in third anyway for the MVP. Very well, very well done for him. You've won your bus fare home, Graham. So that's not bad going. So you're right. So
if they just said when there was 5 left, I'd have done some business with them.
Yeah. So it does mean Dean finishing in second place means that Celtic Storm hold on a Sunday night again to take the win in game week 34. Well done to Brian, Shug, Gary and Brendan playing for Celtic Storm this week. Dean's performance does mean Eat My Stack managed to squeeze into second place ahead of the lockdown crew. So well done to the Eat My Stack guys, to Jeff, Dean, Martin and Tim. And that is us done for another week, Mr. Duffy.
Oh, fantastic. Well, a very big up to the Celtic Storm guys. It's like trying to get Michael Flatley off the stage, right? There's too much experience there. You just cannot get these guys off the top. So well done, guys. And a big up to all of our winners tonight, of course. To all of you guys out there who've been playing the tournaments through the week, thank you very much. We appreciate your support. Big week ahead next week with the Advent calendar promotion starting, as Lee said. So we will be back, Lee and I, next weekend, so on Sunday night with the APAT show, normal time. We look forward to that. Hope you guys have a great week. And I guess our final thank you is a big thank you to both Graham and Peter for joining us tonight. There was a ton of stories. I learned a ton from it. Really enjoyed it. So thank you very much, guys. And, hopefully we can do this again at some point.
Yeah,
thank you, Lee. Thank you, Des. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was our pleasure. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. Okay, guys. Well, I guess that's a wrap from us. So have a great next week. And we will be back same time, same place. And until then, ciao.